That light is so bright. Why am I doing this? Goodness. So today I wanted to talk about the newest Netflix show called Love is Blind.
I've met the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I've never seen her before.
Here, you will choose someone to marry.
Hello.
Nice to hear from you. Can't say see ya.
Cringe. I wasted 11 hours of my life watching it, and now you don't have to because you can watch this video. With that, this video contains spoilers, but you should just keep watching it anyway, so that you don't have to watch the actual show. I guess I should kind of start with, like, explaining how it works, but that part's kind of boring, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Love is Blind is basically like a game show for marriage, kind of like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Two shows I've never watched in my entire life, so I can't compare them. But a lot of people say they're kind of the same thing, so just take their word for it, I guess. The show is hosted by two people I've never heard of in my entire life, but everyone seems to think they're super famous, so I guess they are, and I'm just out of the loop. But their names are Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey. They show up for like 5 minutes in the beginning of the show, and then again later at the end, so they don't really matter that much. But they basically explain to the contestants how the show works, where they like encourage them to like find love and ask,
Is love truly blind?
Vanessa talks about these things called the pods, which is basically one room that's separated by a wall where the contestants can both go in to date. Finding love in the pods. Don't doubt it. The show describes the pods as being like a way for the contestants to not be distracted by their date's physical like components. So they're trying to emphasize if it's even possible for people to fall in love with just like personalities, and then later, if they did fall in love in the first place, if they could actually stay together, which would have been a super interesting show and super interesting premise to see if people could actually do that. But instead of encouraging them to form healthy relationships, they force them to get married, and the only way they can meet each other in real life is if they get engaged in under 10 days. Otherwise, then like they could just get cut from the show. So that's a thing. The show has like a lot of contestants in the beginning, and they all seem like super nice and bubbly. A couple of them are kind of wacky, including one of the people who ends up at the end of the show, which she should not have, but that's fine. But the show follows like the 6 main couples. So we have Amber and Barnett, Kelly and Kenny, Cameron and Lauren, Diamond and Carlton, Damien and Giannina, and Jessica and Mark. But only 5 of them make it to the aisle because Carlton and Diamond end up breaking up in like the pre-wedding honeymoon thing that the show puts on, because Carlton ended up being a jerk, and Diamond definitely doesn't need that in her life. There was a whole lot of controversy with Carlton and like that relationship, because freaking the whole show, his thing is like, oh, I'm bisexual and no one's going to accept me, but he refuses to tell his fiance this, and Diamond gets upset with him when he finally does tell her, not because he's bisexual, but because he didn't tell her. And he just refuses to understand this and thinks that she's homophobic and yells at her, and then they break up. And it's like, well, yeah, not because she's homophobic, but because you just couldn't communicate with her and she was just trying to be there for you. So yeah, that was a piece of the show. He definitely ends up having some like serious anger issues, and I'm honestly just confused as to why more people aren't talking about it. They're just kind of taking his side, and I'm kind of like, oh, he's kind of a jerk. Anyways, as the show progresses, the viewers fall in love with Lauren and Cameron, who are super cute, but a little awkward.
Blast off. The course is like a crash collision, because every choice we make is like a rash decision.
Yes, Cameron, rap. Another couple I thought would make it were Kenny and Kelly, because they seem to have like a really easy relationship and just things felt super natural between them. But Kelly says later in the show that she sees him more as a friend, so they don't end up getting married, which is fine, because, you know, who would want to marry your friend if you don't have a spark with them? I don't know. I just feel like I don't have to explain that. There's no reason for me to explain that. The most toxic couple, though, has to be Giannina and Damien, who fight about literally everything. And I mean everything.
Listen to me.
It gets super awkward and, like, just extremely unnecessary. She's always picking a fight with Damien for literally no reason and just being super mean to him. It's just not good.
I have been listening.
Mother, listen.
for 2 seconds.
I have listened to you.
You can see Jessica in the freaking corner eating her chicken. Stupid Jessica. Then we have Amber and Barnett, who somehow end up making it work despite both being kind of shallow and Barnett's indecision constantly causing issues in the relationship. He ends up being super confused about who he wants to marry until like the very last second, and then he chooses Amber, which is really confusing and unfair towards Amber, I guess. At one point, Barnett even says that he's gonna propose to Jessica.
If this place had nobody, no other guys, and no other girls, like, I would propose to you tomorrow.
Basically, if you were the last person on Earth, Jessica, I would propose to you tomorrow.
You would?
And then later talks to Amber and says that that never happened. And Jessica's kind of just like, hey, dude, what happened? So that gives us this really awkward scene that makes me laugh. Even though I probably shouldn't. But it's just so awkward and... Freaking Jessica, dude.
Is it true that you still feel the same way you felt last night about me?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I really hope Barnett says that he still loves me.
I don't know.
Makes me feel a bit better since she like flat out rejected Mark and treats him super horribly throughout the rest of the season. This is kind of what sparks everyone to hate Jessica, is because she freaking tells everyone that she's super into Mark and she's there for him and he's her rock and she loves him so much, but she like never really gets over Barnett, which is understandable because freaking he proposed, or not proposed, but like almost proposed to her. And she even says in the show that like they had a strong connection and you can't, like, she doesn't feel like she wants to give that connection up.
Barnett's definitely an attractive guy. This is someone that I created a bond with that will never be matched by any other bond.
My bond with Barnett will, like, never be matched with, like, anyone ever. Like, ever. Even though I'm engaged to, like, my fiancé, Mark.
Jessica's whole thing is she just gets wasted a lot and then flirts with Barnett, and everyone's just kind of like, Can you not do that?
You never struck me as the person that would go for Amber. And it's
told me that a couple
weird to
times.
see it all come together. I'm like,
You told me that a
holy
couple times.
You can totally tell in this that Barnett has absolutely no interest in Jessica whatsoever, and she's still going after it. Like, dude, chill. Most of Jessica's slip-ups come from her being super wasted, and she just gets really weird. At one point, she even gives wine to her dog.
You know what I mean? Is that like, I'm not saying is that like, I want you to be a parent.
She drank the wine right after. Like, despite the fact that you're giving wine to your dog, which is probably not good, she just drinks it after. Like, after her dog has licked in the glass. That's nasty. No, thanks. That's gross. Jessica also tries to convince literally everyone that will listen to her that she's into Mark, even though she clearly isn't, and everyone knows that. Except for Mark, I guess, because he just continues dealing with her the whole time.
Baby, I don't want to date anybody else.
I know my worth.
Which is super confusing. But Jessica's main problem with Mark is that she literally just doesn't like him. And that's okay. Like, if you don't like him, then just break it off, dude. But instead of doing that, she comes up with literally every possible excuse that she can, including that she's 10 years older than him. And is probably what bothers her the whole time about her being with Mark, but she doesn't, like, do anything about it. She just complains the whole time. And still agrees to get married to him. Confusing. After she confronts Mark about the age difference and says how worried she is about it, he tries to convince her by telling her over and over again that it doesn't matter to him. And after that, she kind of realizes that it's not actually that big of a deal, so she just comes up with another thing that's bad about him.
Mark is very emotionally available. To me, it's a bit of a red flag.
I just, like, don't really understand how someone can be so emotionally available when they're not, like, drunk. Like, how does that even work?
She says that his emotional vulnerability is a red flag to her, and that it's really weird that he loves his mom, and even yells at him at one point, telling him not to compare her to his mom, even though he doesn't, and he never does. But, you know, that's fine. Despite being proven wrong about their age difference being an issue in the real world, when Jessica goes out drinking with her friends and they all tell her to go for it, like, despite the age difference, she continues to bring it up in literally every conversation and will not let it go. Like, dude, shut up. It doesn't matter. She's just a psycho, honestly.
Mark, I can't even, like, look at you right now. You're not Barnett? Ugh, don't look at me. You're so gross. Ew. Mark. Let me just drink this real quick.
The other, like, weirdest piece of drama in the show is when the girls have their bachelorette party and they all get drunk together.
My best friend and I love him and I'm so lucky.
I love Barnett so much.
It makes for a great scene between Amber and Jessica, where Jessica tries really hard to convince Amber that she, like, absolutely is infatuated with Mark and wants to be with him, and that Amber has nothing to worry about, and then proceeds to make out with her.
I'm in love with my fiance. I am in love with him. I know you, baby. I know you.
I know you, baby. I know you.
It's just really awkward, and I don't know why no one's freaking talking about this at all. Like, it's just so weird. All of these issues are kind of squashed later in the reunion episode, where Amber just flat out yells at Jessica, and Jessica kind of just sits there awkwardly, doesn't really know what to do.
To see her throwing herself at him in Mexico, you're shiesty. You're so fake.
You can literally see on all of their faces how awkward the tension is. Like, especially Lauren, she just really looks like she doesn't want to be there. After everything, the only couples that end up getting married are Amber and Barnett, which was kind of surprising for me, considering that there was just so much drama with them, but they made it work. And Cameron and Lauren, who were the perfect couple from the start and had no issues whatsoever. Kenny and Kelly obviously didn't stay together. Kenny said, I do. Kelly said, I don't. The most shocking one was Giannina and Damien. Giannina started with an I do, and then Damien said, I don't. And it was just kind of awkward. Giannina was so torn up about this that she ran off from the wedding. And they have this glorious clip.
I'm out of here.
I honestly don't know why they included it, but it makes me laugh so hard every single time. I can't stop watching it. This is pure gold. Crazily enough, though, Giannina and Damien end up together in the reunion, and they say that they're just taking it slow and dating, which would have been healthier and better to do from the start, but that's not the point of the show. And last but not least, surprisingly enough, Jessica and Mark don't end up together. I know, it's insane. Mark says I do to Jessica after having a huge speech planned out saying how much he cares about her, and Jessica kind of just mouths the words I love you to him while he's talking and smiles, and then says I don't. Another reason that I really hate her. That was my review of the Netflix show Love is Blind. If you have any different opinions from me, let me know in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel because it is free and I like feeling validated. Thanks for watching.